Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Sit Down by the Fire. I think this is episode 8. I don't know, so I don't think we're quite at 10 yet. But we have one of our other capo regimes here, Kayla, with my journey with autism, and as always, I have the co-host Eric. So, and Eric just left. Great. So why don't you tell a little bit about your channel before Eric comes back?
My channel is about my journey, obviously, with autism and to share my experience going through life with it and for others to hopefully come and seek help from me as hopefully a public figure to help others in the world who are struggling as I am.
Yeah, it's a very noble cause. Because I think that people, I don't really want to say misconception, maybe misformed about autism, I guess would be the best way to put it. Because there's high functioning, and then there's let's just say very low functioning, and then there's just middle ground functioning. There's just many different forms. I do feel that there is kind of a misdiagnosis with it, because obviously the three of us are pretty high functioning.
Yeah.
And one of the questions we were going to ask is, let's say a mother came to you and asked for advice, saying, "Hey, my son was just diagnosed with autism. What advice would you give the mother?" Let's say, in our case, it's high functioning, maybe.
Oh, I would just say, maybe a little bit about myself and possibly like, well, I was diagnosed at age 11 and it was hard for me to get help in my little town. If you have, hopefully you can get your child a good support system, because that's what helped me grow out of my shell as an autistic woman.
Hello.
Yeah, well, hey, Eric's back now, but yeah,
I'm so sorry about that. My computer crashed, so.
Great. Hopefully no more technical difficulties. Knock on wood, right?
Or wait, even better. Woo! Sigma!
He's saying good luck.
Yeah. Sigma probably thought that somebody was at my door, so what else did I miss?
Not much. We were just giving advice about autism. Yes, Eric, thank you. I know you're backstage, and you're in the chat now, so thank you. But, yeah, I just think that, come at it from your viewpoint is probably the best thing. And honestly, one advice at least I would give is to somebody who is autistic, find people that are, at least with YouTube, it's easy now. Like, make friends with people that have your same interest. Because if you actually do your research, everybody's autistic in some way. So, just do your research. I mean, like, I don't know, like, if you're a car person, go find people who are interested in cars on the internet or something like that, or in our cases, movies. I mean, Eric, we've met plenty of movie buffs and movie people on YouTube. So
I mean, heck, I met plenty of people who are not autistic, like who have their special interest in like cars, sports, whatever it is. So having a special interest, while yes, it can be a characteristic of autism, I argue that it's not strictly for autism though. So
yeah, it's just an interesting thing. I mean, we're only now actually like discovering stuff about autism. I mean, we always knew about it, I think, but like we're not in an age now where people are doing more research on it, you know, and it's just kind of interesting to live in the world now where we're like, oh, okay, so this is autistic, this is not autistic, and like in my case, like I was diagnosed with Asperger's, and I still say Asperger's just because of what the guy did has nothing to do with the disease. I don't want to say disease, but a spectrum. You know what I mean?
Hey, Junebug, if you
Yeah.
could, do you think that I could get rid of this thing on the bottom about StreamYard and the live viewer comments? It's kind of distracting. Thank you. So
There it
anyway,
goes.
but yeah, sorry.
Uh, So yeah, speaking of autism, uh, but no, I was gonna. Where was I? With I was diagnosed with Asperger's, and what I was going to say is that just because of what the guy did doesn't reflect what it's called. It's Asperger's, so I still call it Asperger's. But let's see. You got any questions for Kayla, Eric?
I guess, what are your special interests? It seems like one of yours is biking and exercising, but would you have any other special interests?
I really enjoy music. All my life I have loved listening to music. Is one of like the top ones.
And do you have a favorite genre?
Nope, people ask me that all the time, and I'm like, oh, I just like different types.
Is there any
Yeah.
genre that you don't like? Like, a lot of people don't like rap. So, do you like or dislike rap?
The hard metal, yes, I do not like that, and I would say country here and there.
Which is so funny you mentioned country because 13 years ago, when I was like 17 years old, I actually made a rant video like about country music, and then at the very end of the video, I then smashed a country music CD with a hammer. So it's so funny that you mentioned.
I like music as well. I mean, I love classic rock. I've been trying to get into a lot of newer rock bands, mainly just to support them. But I do like country. However, it's very hard to find a good country artist now because, I don't want to hear a song about a guy thinking that his tractor is sexy, and wanting to do weird stuff to his tractor. Like, dude, no. I don't like, as they call it, bro country. So I'm gonna call them out. I don't like Blake Shelton. I don't like Luke Bryan or anything like that. Anybody like that. So, but when I say country, I more mean like Johnny Cash or Willie Nelson. And obviously, my cats agree with me because they're fighting.
Well, isn't that perfect?
There you go.
Oh my
God. When you say like hard heavy metal, do you mean like what specific do you classify as that?
Do you mean like Slayer? Or Lamb of God or something?
Just that I call it scream music. That's what I don't like.
Okay, so I think I know what she's talking about. Like, are you okay with like when, like, let's say like Metallica can get on that screamo thing? Are you okay when Metallica does it? You're talking full on screamo, right?
Oh yeah, like they're like angry sounding. Yes.
Yeah, so like but like Metallica, for instance, Eric, you know what songs I'm talking about. Like sometimes Metallica can get on sort of that screamo, borderline screamo.
But yeah, I was really, really into that angry music when I was like 15, 16, 17 years old, and I feel like it kind of showed with my personality. I mean, Junebug probably will agree. Yeah, I was a bad boy back then. But yeah,
Oh, you've mellowed in your old age.
I have. But yeah, Kayla, are you a fan of rap at all?
I wouldn't say
Speaking of
Okay.
speaking of rap, did you guys hear that they remember innocent until proven guilty, but they might have made an arrest in the Tupac murder?
I thought that it was confirmed that he 100% died in 1996.
Yeah, well, they made an arrest in the murder.
They just now did.
Yeah, like like yesterday. Now
Why did
we
it
don't.
take long?
Probably a number of different reasons.
Not enough evidence until now, I guess.
Not enough evidence, and probably some form of interferences, probably, I would assume. But yeah, here, Kayla, we'll play the chat pack here, if, too. But so remember this game, I would actually say that this is actually a great game for people who are autistic, because at least one of the things that I struggle with, like, I'm okay with having conversation, but like I need sort of icebreaker topics or something like that to start engaging in the conversation. You know what I mean? So this is kind of a great way to actually do that. So I would actually suggest it to anybody who is autistic, or even just even doing it through YouTube. It's a thing called the Chat Pack. I actually know the guy who makes it. So, but yeah, what is the coldest you've ever been in your life, and what? It's basically asking what made you go woo, less cold, that you've ever been in your life. Sometimes these questions ask, like, it's the sentence structure. It's proper English, but the sentence structure is weird. So it's basically asking, like, when were you coldest? What's one time when you were at your coldest the most, and you just then all of a sudden became warm? What did you do, basically, and what was the time you were cold? If you guys think the sentence structure is weird or something, or the question's weird, we can skip it. That's fine. But I guess for me, like, the one time I remember, so my mom had car issues at this time, so we had a rental car, and my mom jokingly called it the sewing machine, because every time you hit the gas on this car, it sounded like one of those old school sewing machines, but then it had a safety lock on it. So we got stuck in the snow, and so we're digging ourselves out, and we're not thinking about the safety lock when we're digging ourselves out. And needless to say, both me and my mom, as we're shoveling out to get ourselves unstuck, the car decides to do the safety lock. So here we are in the freezing Kansas cold weather, but this is a PG-13 show, so I'm not going to say the other word that we said, but I think we could fill in the blanks on what me and my mom both were saying. And they also but then we got really mad. We got even more mad because they fined both of us, or they fined my mom, because she rented the car because we kicked the car and we broke the hubcaps.
Wow.
So, Kayla, when was? I'm pretty sure you guys live in the northern states, so I'm pretty sure you guys have experienced some cold weather. So when was the time you guys remember when you guys were the coldest?
Oh my gosh, like sometimes during the winter, like we can get below 0 with the wind chill, and I would sometimes when my mom was still here, I'm like, oh, or whatever, I'm like, oh, we had a school closure one year, and because it was below freezing, and I'm like, Mom, so we planned on, so the school is closed. And my mom decides to still plan a trip out looking for a freaking Christmas tree. I'm like, what is your issue? It's cold out. So she drug everybody out to go find a tree when it's freezing out. Like, are you really?
And what was her excuse?
She liked us being outside, and we had friends with us looking for a tree. So there's pictures of us bundled up to our, like, you can't even see our faces because it was so cold.
Yeah. Sorry you had to deal with that.
Yeah, my mom's like, oh, just bundle up, you'll be fine. It's like, Mom, you could get hypothermia. What are you talking about?
Yeah. You don't admit that because that could
when was the time you remember you were at your coldest, Eric? Especially living up there in Montana. So
with Montana, the winters here last forever. So there's been more than one winter that's been miserable. But the one that I do remember being miserable was my sophomore year. In 2009, 2009 was the first year I started my YouTube channel, actually. I remember it started in the fall, which was crazy, having winter in the fall, but what can you do? And that was when I was on the football team, and I remember having to play a football game in the snow. And I remember I was dating this girl at that time, and having to drive to her house when the roads were that icy. The things you do for love, I guess. But yeah.
Even if it doesn't work out.
Yeah, even if it doesn't work out. Yeah. But yeah, the one thing that I do remember about that, I was at my parents' house still at that time, and my mom wanted me to like hose the garden. But my then girlfriend was coming over, and I got really excited she was coming over that I forgot to turn the hose off. And because of that, my whole downstairs of my parents' house got flooded, and my parents had to buy new carpet because of me.
I'm sure your dad.
About my then girlfriend coming over.
I'm sure your dad loved you then.
Oh yeah, I was their favorite at that time.
Right.
Well, yeah. So enough about me. We're not interviewing me. We're interviewing Kayla. So.
Well, no, we're just kind of actually playing more of a game. So, I mean.
Okay. Oh, yeah. I just have a few questions to ask, Kayla.
Okay.
Have you been to many concerts?
I had interest in doing that, but I am very sensitive to noise ever since I was little. Even a train would really I would just have a hard time. So I expressed it to my mom, and she's like, yeah, no, they're really loud. I don't think you'll have a good time with it. So there goes that interest. So.
I think.
Sorry.
I think it would probably be more like maybe. I think it depends where you would sit in the arena. Like if you're in the back row, I think you'll be fine. But like obviously don't sit there front row because even like I'm okay with that. Like I've gotten a lot better about doing that.
Hmm.
because that used to bug me. But you know, I more mean this in a. I'm not saying get hammered doing this, but like one of the things that helps me at least is take that shot of whiskey and then just do it.
Yeah.
But
Uh,
yeah, I just kind of figured that concerts would be something that you'd be interested in, since that you did mention that you do like music. So you've never been to any concert?
We have a festival up here and it's outside, which is so much fun. I've been to those, but nothing indoors.
Okay.
yeah, I think festival concerts would be more fun, like at like county fair ones or something like that. At least I got to see at the county fair here. I got to see Molly Hatchet. That was pretty cool. Except the lead singer was severely under the influence, which made the concert interesting. He couldn't even sing the words. Well, no, that's pretty much it, Eric. But then he sits there and was like, "Oh yeah," all over, and he was stumbling around and everything. So,
know,
oh,
you know, that right there reminds me of when I went to go see Nickelback in 2017. The lead singer Chad, yeah, the lead singer Chad Kroger, he was so inebriated that he had a full song list and he didn't sing every song on that list
um,
because he was that inebriated. Uh,
my
yeah, and then he was so drunk, he was talking about one of the band members' sex life on stage in front of a whole crowd.
Mhm.
my grandpa got to see Johnny. My grandpa got to see Johnny Cash live.
Lucky bastard.
Yeah, and Johnny Cash um, passed out on stage, drunk.
Wow.
And then his band had to finish the concert for him. But they said that they just continued playing. Johnny was not rolled off the stage or anything. It was just Johnny was. But the thing is, they said they knew it was okay because you could hear Johnny um, through the microphone. You could hear him just snoring. So um, so yeah. All right. Well, so um, I guess you've talked to us before. You do have interest in acting too, and you
Yeah.
said you've done some silent movies. Is there any way like people can find those? Like, are they on? Like, I don't know if they would be on a streaming site or something like that, but does the guy who you did them with, does he have a YouTube channel or anything? Where can we find those so people can see your maybe a future Oscar winner here?
They are on YouTube. I can give you guys the names and you can go search it. But I did a few silent films.
Yeah, and I'm surprised about that because silent movies have not been mainstream since like the 1920s, I believe, and so I'm guessing whoever made them must be like a really big fan of silent movies, and they must have wanted to
Yeah.
recapture that, I guess.
I mean, like what style, what genre were they? Obviously, the style was silent, but like what style were they? Were they comedies,
They
horror?
they were pretty serious movies. I played a cancer patient, and I was the main character, so I had a bandana on, and I went through just, I haven't seen my dad because he was like in the military or something like that. But that was a really fun role to play. I did stuff that I wouldn't have imagined I have ever done before in my life with this movie. So
So was it like a drama?
I would say so.
Yeah. Have they thought about putting it on Tubi for more exposure?
I don't know, but it got quite a bit of views I've seen on the YouTube when I would go through it.
Do you remember how many views?
Not, I'd say over 1,000, maybe.
What was the guy's name? You can maybe give him a shout out.
I can't remember who did it exactly. We had two different main young film people there, like amateur filmers. So
Yeah, I was gonna try to find him on YouTube, but maybe some other time.
Yeah. And maybe that's that is something you could talk about maybe on my journey with autism. Maybe just a little extra thing that you did. Your experience doing silent movies, because that's very unique. A lot of people can't say that they've done that, because I don't know if people truly respect silent movie actors much anymore, because we don't really get to see it a lot, because you had to act with basically everything without using you had to commit emotion without using your voice.
And that's why a lot of actors during the silent era, back when silent movies were the mainstream thing to do, that's why that they would overact with their body language and all that. It's because that they didn't have their voice, and so that they had to show it with their body language.
And then
sorry, but nowadays it will be really awkward for mainstream audiences to go, man, why are they completely overacting with their body language? But that's because that, excuse me, they're not used to it. So
yeah. Well, that's also one of the reasons why a lot of mainstream, actors at that time didn't, really, they couldn't do talkies because their voice sounded. I don't want to come off as mean, but sometimes their voice sounded funny, or something like that. People often wonder if Lon Chaney, for instance, if he would have been a good, talkie actor. Well, he only did one talkie movie, but even then, that was not his real voice, because the guy was actually dying of throat cancer at that time, so his voice changed. So we never know what his real voice sounded like. And the talkie movie he did, it's okay, but his voice sounds fine, but he's dying of throat cancer, so his voice sounds different, than.
So I can imagine that his voice probably sounded something like this if he was dying with throat cancer.
A little bit. But so
it sounded like Batman.
So we don't know. But silent.
Voice hurt my
I'll
throat.
say this though. Silent movies though. That era is so unique, because that's when movies were literally at their beginning. And some of the studios that actually survived. Mainly the ones that survived were Universal and Paramount. MGM came later, but Universal was very interesting, because there was one of the best directors ever, who was definitely the Stanley Kubrick type of his day, Erich von Stroheim. This guy, it's probably one of the longest productions in film history. It lasted for, I think production literally lasted 2 years, because the guy was such a perfectionist on set. Um, and the movies and some of those movies are like 4 hours long. The silent movies or more.
That would take a lot of patience to sit through.
It does. I've seen a lot of silent movies. They're very fun to watch. Some of them. That one I was talking about. Okay, this is the title of the movies. I'm not. It's called Foolish Wives. um, it's a very unique movie. But that guy Eric von Stroheim was more interested in the movie. And then, like I said, Fritz Lang. Eric, you need to show this on once. Definitely need to show this on Let's Watch a Movie.
As long as it's public domain,
yeah. Well, I would hope it's public domain because it was made in 1924.
Yeah, I would hope so.
It's Reign of the Nebulon, where these people literally made a dragon, and the dragon looks more realistic than a lot of CGI now because it's real. It's real. I mean, so the silent era, it doesn't. I feel like it does get talked about, but it's more so like predominantly like maybe 3 or 4 movies. Nosferatu, Hunchback of Notre Dame, Phantom of the Opera, Metropolis, and then that's pretty much it. But there's a lot of great silent cinema out there, and
there is.
I mean, one of my favorites. This was a horror movie that I feel is very underrated in the silent era. It's called The Sorrows of Satan. It's literally a horror movie made by D.W. Griffith, the great silent director. And he made a horror movie back in the day. And that is one of the freakiest horror movies because it was one of the first possession movies. And it got hardly any notice back in the day, but it's one of those that should develop a cult following or something. So I think that's really cool that there's still people making silent movies out there, though. So, I mean,
hey, I'm dying of thirst, so I'll be right back. But
yeah,
to continue.
Well, I guess I could ask Kayla the next question in the chat pack, and then Eric can jump in when he gets thirst when he comes back. Okay, this is a very morbid question.
Okay.
If you were to die tomorrow, what would you want people to remember you by most of all?
Let's see.
So hopefully this does not happen.
Right. Oh boy. I would think that I really like animals.
I guess for me, loyalty. And just that he was loyal to his friends, family, anybody who was there. So, Eric, did you hear the question from the chat pack?
All I heard was something about her dying.
Oh, geez. Don't jinx it, Eric. If the question literally was in the chat pack, if you were to die tomorrow, how would you want to be remembered?
Okay. And what did Kayla respond with?
That she loves animals.
Oh, speaking of animals.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Well, let's see. I would want to be remembered for entertaining, people, because I truly do feel like that's my purpose in life is to make people entertained. I would want to be remembered for, like my love of B-boys. want to be remembered for. I would want to be remembered for all the good things I have done in people's lives, and so I
Like,
that I feel like that question is a very, very profound one.
yeah. Speaking of the next question, talking about death, and now it's talking about your birthday. what, which, which one of your birthdays do you remember appreciating when you were at the greatest moment? It's basically just asking, like, what's one of your greatest birthdays you remember?
Oh boy. Mm.
Yeah, and I mean, because you're almost 30 years old, like there's a lot to pick from.
Yeah. Well, my birthday is always unique because I'm born on Halloween. So
That is badass to have a birthday on Halloween.
yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it's great. I get candy and cake. So as a kid, which is probably why I was a fat kid. Um, Gosh, I mean, that's a tough one just because there's so many birthdays that I remember that I could say. I mean, I remember one where I got um, a family friend made a birthday cake that was a film slate. Um, you know, um, oh, I mean, I do remember my 21st birthday. My dad gave me non-alcoholic beer.
Which, to all the people watching, that actually does exist. As as much of an oxymoron as that sounds, but yeah.
Yes, but I remember saying to my dad because I was 21 years old. So at 21, you could sit there and say this to your dad. I remember sitting there saying, "What's the bleep point?" And then also for that same birthday, I was flirting with the waitress, and she gave me a free Blue Moon shake.
Nice.
I got her, and she even left me her number. So that relationship didn't work out. Eric, so what's one birthday you remember? I mean, your birthday is kind of interesting because you kind of fall right around Christmas. So
Yeah, so that was the cool thing growing up is that I got double presents. I got presents at around. I got birthday presents and also Christmas presents. So, um, well, the one in 2012 was kind of tragic because I turned 20 at that time, but Sandy Hook happened on my 20th birthday. So,
so that was memorable. That was memorable in the wrong way.
yeah. Uh, when I was a kid, I would always have my birthday parties at Chuck E. Cheese, and my parents even said that they got tired of going there so much. And my mom said, well, eventually I started to like their pizza. And
That's 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 the thing. No wonder Chuck E. Cheese went out of business because their pizza. I mean, like, did we not have taste buds as kids? Because their pizza tasted horrible. I mean, as much as Simba likes people food, I don't even think Simba would eat Chuck E. Cheese pizza.
here, since that he's here, let's ask him. Hey, Simba, what are your thoughts on the Chuck E. Cheese pizza? Simba's like, I don't give a shit. Okay, fine. I'll
I have,
continue loving you.
so
But
yeah,
yeah, I've had a lot of great Birthdays. I do remember way back when I was in the fourth grade. I do remember having a birthday party at Pizza Hut, and one of the things I remember getting as a birthday present was Sonic Mega Collection Plus on the Xbox. And me being a Sonic fan since I was a kid, I remember I went nuts over that game, and I played the hell out of it when I was a kid. Uh, Man, I've had so many birthdays that it's hard for me to pick.
One that's
I just remember this. One of my birthday parties at Chuck E. Cheese when I was a kid. It was back when the live-action Grinch came out. I remember that my parents took me to go watch it at the movie theater. I'll never forget how hard that I laughed at the movie theater watching that movie. I laughed so hard that I was in tears, and that I couldn't contain myself because I was laughing that hard. Then what I remember that I got as a gift for my birthday that year, I then got the live action Grinch soundtrack, and I remember that there was one of the songs on there was like a rap version of "You're a Mean Mr. Grinch," and for one of the songs that they actually did get Jim Carrey to do one of the songs, and me being a Jim Carrey fan as a kid, I remember I went nuts over that. So yeah, man, it's so hard for me to pick one.
Well, Kayla, what's one birthday you remember? That sticks
My
out?
birthday is actually 5 days before Christmas.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I got also, have birthday gifts, and then you have like Christmas also.
Yeah.
I think the one I remember pretty well is when I turned 13 and I got a iPod that I was wanting so bad because other people had it. I'm like, I want it. And then I finally got it for my birthday, and I was so excited.
Was it like an iPod Touch or iPod Nano or what?
It was an iPod Nano, and I still have it.
You still have it?
Yes, and it still works.
Do you think that you can grab it? Because I haven't seen one of those in ages.
Yeah, I still have that one, and then I have another generation, and it's orange.
Oh heck, we're live now, and I want to see it. Do you think that you could grab out your iPod Nano and show us it? Because I haven't seen one of those in like 20 years.
Okay.
Simba, come on. Simba, come on. Simba, come on. Simba.
Boy.
Simba, come on. Simba, come on.
I don't even.
Hey, Simba. Simba. Oh,
Great.
God. I love you.
Boy, great show, people. Great show.
Great.
All right.
So
I have it.
There it is. Oh my God, I haven't seen one of those in a long time.
Oh, okay. See, I mean, I don't know, like, I just grew up with CDs and stuff like that. So like with iPods, like I had an MP3 player, but that had like very select few of songs on it because rural Kansas, you could never. The iPods and MP3 players would never work, hardly ever. But you know, here, let's see. Here's another one too. If you could walk into a painting and actually experience the moment, or seen, basically asking if you could experience a painting, which one would you choose? Um, I don't know. What would be kind of cool is the Vincent Van Gogh one, Starry Night. That could be kind of cool because at least you're experiencing just a just a beautiful night sky. Nothing. Because I don't want to say like, oh, I want to experience the Scream because I don't know what that guy's seen, but no, I don't want to experience that. So, Eric, what's a famous painting that you would like to experience?
I guess the Scream, because knowing that inspired the Ghostface mask and maybe the Mona Lisa.
I don't. Yeah, Kayla.
I actually really don't have an answer for that.
Okay. Well, I mean, I don't. The only reason I don't want to experience Scream is because obviously, Eric, that guy is experiencing something very horrifying, and I don't want to know what he's experiencing. And the Mona Lisa,
I don't
the
really
Mona
know
Lisa.
about paintings because I'm not really a painting guy. So
Yeah, I don't know. That would. Which age, when you turned it, was the most difficult for you to accept? 30. And I'm still 30. And I'll be 31 this month. That one was 30. No, 30 was like, wait, wow. I'm 30. I'm the same age that Spielberg was when he made Jaws.
which is one of my favorite movies of all time. And I mean, heck, a lot of people concur that that's one of the greatest movies ever made. And I mean, heck, even my film history professor, who does not like horror films, even he says that Jaws is a masterpiece. So,
Yeah, well, so Eric, what age was hard to accept for you?
what age? What? Sorry.
The question was, what age was it hard for you to accept that you're that age? Yeah, for me, it's 30.
For me, I guess it was when I turned 25. So,
Yeah. Kayla?
I think, I'll be 30 in, December. So I would think right now, because I'm kind of depressed about it. I'm like, no, I don't want to be old.
I know how you feel because
Oh, I
that
know how you feel too. Because, listen, I mean, well, I don't know. In some ways, like I just feel older than 30, but then it just hits you that like, wow, I'm gonna be 30, and it's like, huh, wow. Um, it's a very interesting, but like, yeah, and then it's gonna be funny now. See here in the comments, all the people who are like in their 60s who watch this stuff are like, oh, you guys don't know or anything like that. So, um, so let's see. If you could change the ending to any movie that you've seen in the screen, what ending would you change the movie to, and what would be your alternate ending? Huh. Um, do you guys have an answer for that one?
whoa,
No.
what the hell's that?
Sorry, I got a phone call. Sorry, never mind. It's good.
Are you?
Okay.
No, I didn't. I didn't recognize the number.
Okay. Did you? So, Eric, if you could change the ending to any movie, what would you? What movie would that be, and how would you change the ending?
Well, that's a good one. Hmm. Man, that's a good one.
Hmm.
Oh man, I have to think. I guess the ending to Leatherface, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. Although, granted, I did like Ken Sego's characters, but it made no sense how his character came back because his character clearly died because he had a freaking chainsaw to his head. And then at the very end, it's shown that, oh, he just got a little scratch. Are you freaking kidding me? He had a chainsaw to his head. They just show he just
Yeah.
had a bandage wrapped around his head. Like,
Um. Gosh, I'm such a. You know what? I'm gonna say Hannibal because I think that they honestly should have gone with the book ending.
I've never,
Um,
I've never read any of the Hannibal books, so
well, the book ending is a lot better. Um, I mean, I would say that they should have gone with that because in the book, Eric, do you mind spoilers and Kayla?
It's
uh,
fine.
I did see the Hannibal movie when I was a freshman in high school, but that was a long time ago. So
So do you mind spoilers for the book though?
sure, go right ahead.
So in the book, Clarice and Hannibal, basically Clarice experiences Stockholm syndrome and falls in love with Hannibal, and they get married.
Clarice and the Hannibal Lecter get married.
Yes, because Clarice has Stockholm syndrome
Wow.
and develops over time. And it, a lot of people said that betrayed Clarice's character and everything, but like, I understand what Thomas Harris was trying to do because that does happen. Victims do have Stockholm syndrome. I think that honestly, I think they should have gone with the fat ending because the ending of the movie doesn't make hardly any sense at all. So, and Kayla does not have an answer for that one because you said you couldn't think of one, really?
I don't have. No, I don't.
All right.
Uh, I guess one other one that I could change. Yeah, coincidence, another Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. At the very end of the remake, where his arm gets cut off, they kind of screwed themselves over, like for sequels. So that's why the following movie wasn't a sequel; it was a prequel instead. So I guess I would change like the whole arm being cut off.
Well, unless for a sequel they went with the like have Leatherface be like Ash, right?
Yeah, but I don't know if fans would accept that or not. Oh yeah, and one other ending I would change: the ending to the Friday the 13th remake. Coincidence, directed by Marcus Nispel, who also did the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake. There's a huge coincidence with all my Texas Chainsaw Massacre, mentions. The shock ending, like where Jason pops out and then grabs them, we saw that coming a mile away. It was not shocking. We saw it coming.
So what would you do then? Maybe like Pamela jumps out or something?
Yeah, I think something like that would have been more interesting because we would have expected Jason to pop out. So how about like the corpse of Pamela pops up, which also would be a reference to Friday the 13th Part 3.
Yeah.
And yeah, do something like that because when I saw that in the theaters, I was like, man. And even when I rewatched it like a year ago, I'm like, I saw this coming.
Mm-hmm. Okay. When people find out what you do for a living, what is the most typical question they are likely to ask regarding your job? Well, for me, because I'm starting my own business in media, they usually just tell me good luck because that's literally my job right now is selling my merchandise, getting people, and starting Junebug Films. So usually right now it's just a bunch of good luck. So Eric,
Uh huh.
uh, when you tell people what you do for a living, what's the number one question they usually ask?
When I tell them that I work at the hospital, they go, "So, are you a nurse?" But yeah, that's usually the first thing that people say. And then, soon as I tell them that I do movies, first thing that I'm told is the first thing that I'm asked is they'll ask me, "So, are you famous?"
Well, I have told people before I do YouTube, and usually they want to subscribe to the channel, and then then I usually get a subscriber, so that's always nice. Uh,
Uh,
and
that right there reminds me of when me and Travis were filming the first Pissed Off movie. There was these random guys who saw us and they were asking us what the hell that we were doing. We told them that we were making a movie about people who deny the existence of dinosaurs, and then they're like, "Wait, there's people who deny the existence of dinosaurs?" And they were so shocked that there's even people who will do something that absurd, and then they're like, "Yeah, I'll subscribe to your YouTube channel." So,
yeah, Kayla, same question because it's in the chat bag.
Um, well, I currently don't have a job anymore, but when I did, I worked at a coffee shop, and I said, "Oh, I work, at a coffee shop." And they go, "Do you make the coffee?" I'm like, "No, my boss knows I don't do well with people, so I just do the background stuff." So,
so
yeah.
didn't you say that you're trying to find a new job though?
I did find one, and they wanted me. It was great pay and everything. But where we moved to, the new place we moved to, they said I cannot work this year. I have to wait until next July to get the job.
Why do you have to wait that long?
It's just the rules where we are, and it's
That's bullshit.
yeah, I know.
Hmm. That's
Somebody
that's
trying to, somebody trying to call you again?
Yeah, it's okay. But yeah, it's really frustrating.
um. Well, I mean, so what word? Okay, this is a very interesting question. What word would you want to abolish if you could? If you want to, we could skip this question if you guys think it's not a very interesting question. It's like there's like I don't know, like that's just like I like this game, but like sometimes the questions are just like, okay, yeah, let's just skip this one. Basically, it's asking what word would you want to abolish from the dictionary. I guess I'm just going to answer for everybody because I think we can actually answer it. Obviously, I think we're going to talk about like the offensive words. You know, with the words you just don't say anymore, and that you never should have said, right?
Like, not the F word, but the other F word.
Yes, the one that Eric said in the first few videos of things that pissed me off.
I was 16, so.
Yeah, you were young and stupid. So, and obviously, like the N word and all the other words. So I think we're all in agreement. Just abolish those words, right? Unless you're now, like some of them, I will say, unless you're doing it for like comedy among friends, but more privately, not out there on the internet. You know what I mean? So one, because I think if you're going to do it at least among friends and among family, and you say those words, like if you're, for instance, like me and my cousins, sometimes we'll play Mad Libs and we'll use some of those words just to be funny, but like in a dumb way, like clearly meant to be dumb. We're not, but no, I'm going to say words like that. When was the last time you laughed so hard that you cried?
Oh man, there's been so many times for me.
Oh my gosh.
I guess when I was playing Cards Against Humanity, like at Autism Club, that game's hilarious, and I even saw
that is a fun game.
They even have a Disney version of Cards Against Humanity, a Disney version.
Kayla, you.
Another one that I thought is that today when I was filming some scenes for my current movie, there were some. I don't want to say what because it's spoilers, but yeah, there was some pretty funny stuff that I filmed today.
Honestly, for me, it was on a live stream it was from a. I don't remember the girl's channel name. I remember it was a girl. But she was doing a Disney princess stream, and somehow, you know how streams go sometimes, Eric. You try to have a topic stream, but then the topic just goes out the window, and you get way off topic.
Yeah, like I guess an example is when I did my Sean Connery memorial live stream. People were trying to make it about Sonic the Hedgehog when I'm like, look, I love Sonic, but that doesn't have anything to do with Sean Connery.
Yeah. But the topic came up in a Disney princess stream. And the topic came up about wieners, like hot dogs, and it was like, what? And I guess the other time that I remember laughing so hard that I cried, this is so I was doing my Lord of the Rings stream, and I farted on the stream, and I uploaded it. And I was laughing so hard, I actually cried. But then it got really bad because I guess this is how you know it's really bad when you could smell your own fart.
I actually just remembered one. Like 10 years ago, I was over at my friend Courtney's house. We were being mature and we were prank calling people. And then we used the soundboard. And then it was this, and then we prank called my friend Alex. And what was so funny was that the soundboard that we used was of a guy saying that he had a confession to make, and he was like, "Hey, what's the confession?" And then the guy was like, "I peed in your pool." And I'll never forget, I was laughing so hard that oh my, like that. I remember I was about to choke on myself because I was laughing that hard. So I guess that could be a quick.
Oh, I just thought of one recently.
Okay,
Um,
well,
yeah,
yeah,
let's let
yeah,
Kayla go.
yeah. You two answer that, and then I guess I will have a question.
Okay.
Man, I nothing really recently. Just yeah, I really can't think of anything. Like right off the top of my head, I don't really know.
Um, all right, Eric, you had a question?
Yeah. So, what are memories you two have of prank calling people? Because that was all some of that we did when we were younger. So,
Um, I remember. I remember I did. I used to be kind of good at impressions a little bit. I'm just severely out of practice. So I remember talking like Sean Connery, ironically, who we were just talking about. Um, the name. I remember calling a guy. I remember calling a guy in the phone book. His name was James Bond. So I sit there and said, I tried to talk like M, but the Bernard Lee version. I sit there. Good morning, 007. Here is your latest mission. I think, that should be but that literally should be a rule. If your name is Bond, you're automatically going to be made fun of a little bit, but don't name your son James if your last name is Bond. I mean, Eric, am I right about this?
yeah, like I remember when I was in school, in middle school through high school, there was a guy who I went to school with by the name of Chance Bond, and throughout his whole life, he would hear that thing about James Bond.
Exactly. I mean, so let's see. I mean, Caleb, you can jump in if you can think of any time. But I remember. Oh, so me and my friends thought this would be really funny. Um, one of our friends worked at Pizza Hut at the time. Um, and we ordered pizza, but we sent them to the wrong address. We sent them to the football stadium.
Oh my god!
Because that was and so, but then when he found out about it, he was so pissed off. I mean, um, but the manager at that Pizza Hut at that time was kind of laughing because the manager sit there said this high school kid's being stupid, you know.
Wait, I just remembered this. So you know how some people will write their phone numbers on like the bathroom stall?
Yes.
So when I was in seventh grade, somebody did that. Seventh grade was when I would prank call people a lot. Back then, I had no life, and I would prank call people like every day because I was young and stupid, and I thought it was funny. So I decided to prank call that number with a Howard Stern soundboard, and then they were saying how they wanted to meet up with me. So I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna make these people go meet up with Howard Stern. But since I was like, shoot, I don't sound like Howard Stern in real life. So I was being an asshole and I didn't actually go meet up with them. And then afterwards I called them back and then they were so pissed. They were like, why didn't you show up? You wasted our time. And then there was one time, freshman year, I prank called my friend Greg with an Arnold Schwarzenegger one, and then so I had that line from Kindergarten Cop, "Who is your daddy, and what does he do?" And then Greg responded, "Yeah, my dad's a porn star." And then afterwards, Greg was like, "Yeah, somebody prank called me with an Arnold Schwarzenegger soundboard," and then I was trying to contain my laughter, and then he was like, "It was you, you bastard."
What about you, Kayla? I mean, I don't know. You seemed like a goody girl. I don't know if you ever did any prank calls.
No, I didn't do like anything when I was younger. I didn't do prank calls. I didn't set things on fire. I was good. So
Well, that's good.
Yeah. Eric, did you ever do the Beavis and Butthead prank phone calls?
Yeah.
like Harry Sack?
Yeah. I was like,
So you would call somebody and just flush the toilet?
yeah, and then I remember when I had a phone book, I actually found a guy in the phone book. I kid you not, his name was Jack Goff. That was his name, was Jack Goff.
Wow. Let's see. I mean, one of them that. But no, I remember doing that, like getting the phone book and like looking up like actors' names or something like that, and like I would do stuff like that. Like, I found one guy named C. Grant, so obviously I'm thinking, oh, Cary Grant. Yeah, he said, yeah. I think stuff I would do stuff like that. I remember one guy. I mean, I even did it with a guy named G. Cooper, and his name actually was Gary Cooper. Was the funny thing. So I sit there.
Sorry.
So I would sit there and say, "Oh my gosh, I'm such a big fan of yours, but I have one question for you. I thought you died." So no, but needless to say, I haven't really prank called at least since I was in my early 20s. So that's like 10 years ago.
So there actually was one time where I found a YouTube video of somebody who prank called John Carpenter. Yes, that John Carpenter. I'm like, how did you get his number?
How did John Carpenter?
Knowing that they prank called one of the biggest names in like horror movie directors.
But you ruined your chance of getting into Hollywood.
Right? Like, man, like whoever did that, they had guts.
Like, Eric, would it, like, yeah, that's the question. How did they get John Carpenter's phone number? And the other thing is, like, how did John Carpenter respond to it, honestly?
So, it was on this app called, like, Prank Dial. And so, they used the one, like, where it's stay away from my girl. And then John Carpenter was like, wait, who is this? And then T-Bone was like, yeah, that is no problem. And then he hung up.
I have gotten, the funny thing is, I've gotten those prank phone calls even recently, to stay away from my girl ones. Lately, what I've been doing is sitting there saying stuff like, really? Because she's over right now. and just because I usually just play with them back. And then they sent me a text message of an obviously photoshopped, you know, picture of not me, but they said this is you, and it's like a knife and everything. They basically prank threatened me.
Wow.
And then it was just they sat there and did this. Then they said they sent me a video of them with, okay, these were toy guns. Like, we're coming for you, bro. And they did a fake Mexican accent. So I said, okay, well, I'm outside. Come and get me. You know, like, obviously they didn't show up. So
Well, that's good, but
yeah.
Trying to think. I saw this video on YouTube like 10 years ago. Somebody who prank called Walmart, and then Walmart went on lockdown.
I think okay. That doesn't remind me. That kind of reminds me of something. Okay.
And
So,
and knowing that they were dumb enough to put it on YouTube, I'm not going to be surprised if they got in legal trouble for that, knowing that they wasted Walmart's time and resources.
Speaking of pranks, though, that does remind me this reminds me of two stories. So this happened at the same Home Depot in Kansas. The same Home Depot. These are two incidents. So one guy said he went into the bathroom and said, "I'm going to drop a bomb." Now, obviously, he was not going to drop. He did not have a bomb on him. Obviously.
Well, yeah.
I think we know what he was talking about. Somebody reported him. So here's the police thinking the guy has a bomb. And then when the police sit there and realize, oh my gosh. They were like, okay, wow. And so then at the same Home Depot, a lady managed to get her butt glued to the seat from what she claimed was a prankster. Now, it was super glue. They couldn't. Now, so the police, to get the glue off, they literally had to get a paint scraper and scrape it off. And the lady, then when the investigation found out, they found out that she did it. She did it to get money out of that Home Depot. So she could get basically set for life. To sue Home Depot because of injury. I'm like, so then that Home Depot then sued her, and she had to pay that Home Depot then. It's like karma, lady.
Yeah.
Like,
sorry.
Yeah, but she was sitting there complaining how her butt was so sore and all this stuff. I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't feel bad for you.
Reminds me of back when COVID first hit. There was a whole toilet paper craze. And I saw that some lady bought a whole store load of toilet paper. And then she tried to return it. The store was like, no, screw you.
Yeah. I mean, I know she watches, but my stepmom got on that toilet paper craze to the point where she tried to lock up the toilet paper in my dad's gun safe. Like, is toilet paper really this valuable? I mean, I'm like, that's the one thing I remember joking about during the whole COVID stuff. I'm like, well, toilet paper is a fairly new invention. We could just use paper, like newspaper and magazines. That's what they used to do.
Luckily for me, that I was at my old apartment, and because it's just been me, I haven't really had a need to go through a lot of toilet paper. But yeah, so I was good on toilet paper at that time. But yeah, Kayla, I'm curious. Where were you back when COVID first hit?
I was at my old apartment. And let's see. Um, I don't think I was working at that time. I don't think I was. Yeah, it was crazy. But I went to the gym back then, and they decided, okay, well, school was out early because they shut down for like 2 weeks, and then the gym shut down, and I started volunteering there, and I couldn't volunteer because they closed. So I decided, okay, now what? So I decided to go biking a little bit, and yeah, it was a really crazy. I didn't really like all the change that happened because you had to wear the masks in the store. Just things totally changed. We didn't have a lot of rules here, and we shut down, but it wasn't like we had, like, if you go outside, we're gonna like hurt you or something. So
Yeah, and as far as the gym thing goes, I remember that my gym closed because of COVID. So I could not. So I couldn't go to the gym, and lockdown. I couldn't go anywhere. Couldn't do anything. So that's why I gained a lot of weight, and I feel like a lot of people gained weight because of COVID.
Yeah, which I mean, I don't know. I mean, I just kind of lived my life during COVID because, like what I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I went out to eat, um, and all this other stuff because, like, yeah, places were closed, but like I just kind of lived, you know, I didn't let it bug me. I guess um, and it got to the point with the masks, though. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Like, listen to me. If people want to wear masks, fine. But like, it got to the point with me. Like, I started to wear a plague doctor mask because I'm like, the you know, this is like the 1500s. You know, so I started to wear a plague doctor mask. Actually, people were starting to more laugh at that point because this town is actually. Um, and now they're talking about us wearing masks again. I think I'm just going to be walking around in my plague doctor mask if they do that again. You know what I mean?
But yeah,
Because
oh, oh, oh.
because I mean, come on. I mean, at this point, it's like, and I thought to myself, well, even if I get the virus, you know, I'm just gonna, you know, eat, eat soup and keep up my vitamins to get my white blood cells stronger to kill the virus. Because that's how you stop viruses from in your body. You try to make your white blood cells stronger to kill the virus. So, but
And so in 2020, I decided to get creative with my Halloween costume because it was the year of COVID. So that was the year that I decided this is the best Halloween costume I have ever done. So what I did is that Simba and I reversed roles. Simba went as me for Halloween, then in reversal I went as him. And so what I did is that I I found like a beagle COVID mask, and I was wearing that, like a part of my costume. And then the funniest part about that was my family and I got a picture of it making it look like Simba was giving me a bath. Oh my god, that was so funny.
yeah, you showed me that picture. Yeah. Um, I don't know. I mean, I remember them. Do you remember this, Eric? They were actually talking about during COVID canceling Halloween, and I'm like, I remember telling people, okay, you can cancel, you can, close down restaurants and everything, but you're going to get those people that have guts and just go out trick or treating. And then, like, I thought, I remember this was a joke. I said, well, shouldn't we be good? Because come on, I mean, in Halloween, you already wear a mask, don't you?
Well, most people do. I mean, some people could wear makeup, which is what I'm going to do this year, because this year I'm going to go as Dracula, and Simba's going to go as the Frankenstein monster. So I mostly will just be doing makeup. So
Yeah. Anyway, if snow could fall in any flavor, what flavor would you choose? Boy, isn't Kayla popular?
Yeah, I know.
somebody
You know
wants.
what'd be really cool? Dr. Pepper flavored snow. So, Eric, if snow could fall in any flavor, what flavor would you want snow to fall in?
What flavor for soda?
Snow.
Oh, snow.
Like snow comes down as like Dr. Pepper. What 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 would you choose as far as a flavor?
If I were to ignore the fact that you're not supposed to eat snow because it's not good for you, but I did it when I was a kid, so
Every kid in the world has done it.
Ignoring that, lemonade. I'm not really a soda guy, so.
Well, man, talk about don't eat the yellow snow, Eric. Kayla?
I think oh my gosh.
You're popular.
It keeps being restricted, but anyway,
That's weird.
I know. I wouldn't mind, maybe root beer would be kind of cool.
Wow.
Somebody really wants attention.
Root beer would be cool. Maybe cream soda.
Yeah.
Wow. So obviously Eric wants to eat yellow snow. So there you go. So anyway, okay, long one. Suppose that instead of having a name that okay, I'm gonna skip this one. This is kind of it's an interesting question, but it's kind of, no offense to the guy who made this, because I actually do know you, but this is a dumb question. Okay, because it's asking, okay, if you could change your name to a number, what number would you change your name to?
Why would I?
I don't know. I'm skipping it.
Because my last name starts with a V, and that's the Roman numeral for 5.
0.
What would yours be, Kayla?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Calling you?
I don't know. It's a restricted number. It keeps coming through.
I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Well, in your life, where you literally, okay. It's asked. Okay, it's wording it weird, so I'm gonna have to paraphrase the question a little bit. Have you ever had a moment where where life literally flashed before your eyes?
Yeah, I've noticed that whenever I got high before, like I would have my whole life flash in front of me. And to be honest, that's one of the reasons why I decided I'm not going to smoke weed anymore, because I don't like the feeling of being high with my whole life flashing in front of me, and just I feel like that I don't accomplish anything while I'm high and I'm just wasting time. So
Right. Right about here. I could. Sorry, very small screen. So on my phone, but right about here, where I'm about touching my head, um, I have quite a big bump on my head. Now, when I used to do tree work, sometimes you you get your daily whack in the face by trees and other sorts of limbs. There was one branch that I was crushing down the branches to make sure I could get all the and I had a branch sit there whack me square in the right there. And there's actually a dent in my head. Probably got an undiagnosed concussion from it. And I do remember blacking out, and then the whole life flashed before my eyes. And then right in that same area, I managed. Okay, here one of the things with autism too. One of the things I've noticed is, if you get on a task, you're in the zone with it. You're doing the task and everything, and sometimes you're not paying attention to stuff around you. And I managed to hit a. It was a. It was like a pole for like hanging up laundry that was not just a piece of wood like that that was not used for laundry anymore, but it was that type of thing. Well, so here I am in my, I'm working. I'm supposed to get brushed, focused on my task because of my, that's one thing I've noticed with autism. We're always focused on everything. If we're told to do something, we're going to do it. And I didn't see the pole, and I hit the pole, and then I'm like, at first I thought, what the heck? What hit me? I managed to hit the pole twice in a matter of seconds. So I blacked out for a minute. I do remember life flashed before my eyes. Kayla, have you ever had a moment like that where your life flashed before your eyes, like maybe from an injury or something?
I have passed out, I don't know how many times from things. Yeah, it's not fun. It's like, I go out and then it's like, wait, where am I? And it's really, really scary. I really don't like it.
oh,
Yeah.
so I actually just remembered this. My senior year of high school, I was working out at Anytime Fitness with my friend Tyler and my friend Shaylee. I was doing one of like these back exercises, that thing that you pull down or whatever to exercise your back muscles. My friend Tyler was being an idiot and he decided to put me in a chokehold, and I passed out. And when I woke up, I thought that I was asleep on my bed. I thought that I was asleep a lot longer than I was, but my friend said it was only for like a few seconds. When I woke up, I thought that I was in my room on my bed. Then I asked Tyler and Shaylee, I was like, why am I Tyler, Shaylee? Why in the hell are you in my room? But then only to realize that I was at the gym still, and all of the gym employees were surrounding me. And then the ambulance came, and then my parents came. My parents were pissed at my friend Tyler. And then I remember Tyler was crying. He was saying, "Oh my God, I didn't mean to hurt Eric." And my friend Tyler was scared of my dad for the longest time. And then, eventually, Tyler and my dad made up, and, Tyler learned his lesson. So,
Let's see. Well, I remember. No, like I mean, I remember doing. I remember that reminds me of a similar story. I remember I fell asleep. I fell asleep. I fell asleep at my grandparents' place, and I didn't realize I fell asleep. And so then I woke up in the middle of the night, for whatever reason, and like I had that quick moment, like, wait, this isn't my bedroom. But then I realized I was at my grandparents' place, so that was okay, you know. um. So, all right, what is one trip that you have taken, but that you really would like to take somebody?
Um,
I don't know.
uh,
What's a trip? I don't know. What's a trip that you? I don't know. You remember as a kid that you? I don't know. Maybe you and hubby could go on.
Oh,
I've been to Costa Rica.
Oh, that's cool.
when did you go there?
What?
When did you go to Costa Rica?
Man, it was quite a few years ago.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Eric, did you hear the question?
No. I saw that I got a package at my front door, and I don't know if it's one of my autographs or not. So, all that I heard when I came back was Kayla mentioning she went to Costa Rica.
What?
So,
Okay. What's a trip that you remember that you went on that you would like to take somebody else to? Is basically how it was wording it.
oh man, I would love to go to Universal Studios and Disneyland again because that's the stuff that's right up my alley. Yeah, though those are places that I have been to.
Um,
I guess a place I have not been to, I would love to go to and take someone else to. I would like to go to Florida.
there's no rules for this game, so I'm going to say a place that doesn't exist yet.
So a place that I have not been to yet.
No, well, no. I'm answering mine. I'm going to say a place that doesn't exist yet. I'm going to take people to Junebug World.
Junebug World.
Yeah, or maybe I'll call it something else once I buy a certain studio. So I don't know. I mean,
Order here.
I do agree. Going to Universal Studios because I actually never got a chance to go as a kid. That would be fun. Disney World and Disneyland. Let's put it this way. Unless they got new leadership, I probably wouldn't be going to Disney anytime soon. So.
Okay, screw it. I'm sorry. I'm really curious what this is.
Well, if it's an autograph, maybe just peep in and just save it for a video, right?
Oh, it's Simba's Halloween costume.
Oh, okay.
The Frankenstein costume. Hey, Simba! Hey, Simba!
Okay.
Hey, Simba, come here! Hey, Simba, come on! Simba!
Oh, great. Oh, great question. If you could choose your epitaph, what words would you choose?
Simba, come on!
Eric.
What?
Here's the question. If you could choose your epitaph, what would you choose?
If I could choose my appetite?
Epitaph.
What is that? Come on.
Words on your tombstone.
I think it would be funny if instead of rest in peace, if it said be right back.
It says beside your name, but I kind of changed that. I would just sit there and say, "Here lies Ty Nyberg. If you don't like me, my butt is in the air, so you can kiss my. Because. Kayla, what would yours say?
You mind, Kayla?
Well, I haven't planned that far yet for that. Yeah, I haven't thought about it. I don't really want to.
Are we really trying to insert Simba's costume right now?
Yeah, I'm gonna try and put it on now.
On Sit Down by the Fire, we get to see people dressing their dog.
I'm dressing him up in his Frankenbeagle costume.
Yeah. Whenever having a bad day, what is the best thing to do to help you cheer yourself up?
I would argue that it's the power of laughter. Because no matter what you're going through, truly, the one thing that can help you get through anything in life is to laugh.
Yeah. I mean, usually what I do is I usually try to put on a nice movie, maybe have a Dr. Pepper, and I don't know, put a splash of. Now, I'm not saying go and, drink the bad day away, but maybe relax, watch a funny movie, and maybe put a splash of Jack Daniels into Dr. Pepper.
Like, say, watch a Jim Carrey movie, like, say, Ace Ventura or.
Yeah. Okay. Oh.
Here we go, the headpiece.
If you had the ability to complete in any way an Olympic event, which one would you choose to enter?
Oh my goodness. Here it is. Frank Eagle. Isn't he so scary?
For Simba's sake, this better get a lot of views.
Simba's like, Dad, this is stupid.
What? So, Eric, if you could compete in any Olympic event, what Olympic event would you compete in?
Probably running, because I like to run. I mean, my love of running came from Sonic the Hedgehog, so no surprise, right?
Yeah. Kayla?
Well, I'm really into biking right now, so something along that line.
Just biking? I don't know. Do they have biking at the Olympics?
They might.
I don't know. I don't know if they do or not. Let's see. It doesn't say you can't do this, so I'm just maybe if eating or something was a Olympic sport. I think that like maybe a hot dog eating contest. I could do that.
So in your guys' opinions, sorry, but what do you think of Simba's Halloween costume?
Very cutesy.
Cute? But yeah, Kayla, what are your thoughts?
He doesn't think he wants to move in it. He looks pretty stiff.
Simba's like, okay, Dad, I will put up with this for you. It's alive! It's alive! Frankenbeagle. No, no, oh, no, he's killing me. Ah! Ah!
So, what event or activity for the next few months are you looking forward to more than anything else? Uh, I guess Christmas in some ways.
Hmm.
Eric,
Yeah.
what event or activity are you looking forward to in the next few months? I guess for me, Christmas. I think Kayla's in agreement.
For me, I'm excited for Halloween, and I'm excited for Christmas.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, because I got Simba's Halloween costume.
Well,
Brian, hey Simba, hey Simba, you get up. Hey Simba, hey Simba,
what is something that many people
Simba,
consider?
Simba.
What is? I don't think Simba wants to move.
I'm just taking pictures of him. Simba,
What is something that many people consider a modern day convenience that you, quite frankly, consider a pain in the neck? Um, Gosh, there's kind of a number of different things. I mean,
Simba.
one of the things that, at least for me, that I can, I mean, I'm gonna sound like a hypocrite because here I am on my phone, but in some ways I find phones annoying
Simba.
because, you know,
He
I,
looks so cute.
especially, I mean, look, especially in Kayla's situation here, she's trying to be professional here, and she keeps getting phone calls,
Simba.
so
Yep.
they get annoying in that way. But the one thing that I don't like too is some people. It seems like okay, Eric might want to listen to this joke. It seems like some people have phone vid 19 with some of their phones because like they sit there and they're on their phones all day, all the time, like during the dinner table or something. Like I've noticed with autism, that's one thing that just ticks me off. It's like just the overuse of people on phones. Like when I'm trying to have a conversation with you, am I talking to you or your telephone? You know, Eric, I'm sure you can relate, right?
Yeah. Simba.
So what's a yeah? I
Simba.
mean, and speaking of somebody on their phone, Eric.
Simba. Sorry. I'm just trying to take as many pictures of Simba because he looks so darn cute in his Frankenstein costume. Oh my!
He's definitely
Hey
well.
Ty, uh, just imagine when we were interviewing Sarah Karloff. Just imagine like if Simba was wearing this costume.
Well, go ahead and send it to her.
All right, all right. I think I'm done taking pictures, so I'll.
Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah. Simba's definitely Frankenweenie, isn't he?
No, he's not Frankenweenie. He's Frankenbeagle.
Okay. So, Eric, what's one thing that people consider a modern day convenience that you kind of just find annoying?
So something that some people might view as petty, but I view it as being annoying.
Modern day convenience is how it worded it, but sure.
Um, I can't think of anything.
Okay.
Yeah, Matt.
If you could invent a pair of glasses that would allow you to see abstract things that motivates behind someone's actions, what would you want to see most of all? Um, so basically, it's asking like if you could customize your own style of James Bond glasses, what would you have your James Bond glasses do? Eric, I know what I would have my glasses do, but I'm not going to answer because there's a woman in the stream.
I guess mine would be the ability to shoot out lasers.
Okay, Kayla.
I don't have an answer for that one.
Okay. What is the most interesting course ever taken in school? Oh, on the other hand, most. Okay, it's asking. Okay, this is a two-parter, so I'm gonna have to just answer. Basically, have us answer one, and then we'll answer the second one. What's the most interesting course you've taken in school? Well, for me, like, I mean, history, and if we're talking college, I did take entrepreneurship, so that was kind of interesting. Kayla,
Mhm.
what's an interesting course that you took in school?
School is, you know, a little bit different for me. Let's see. I I only took art because I liked the teacher and I had friends. That's the only reason why I took art. I didn't like PE very much, but I just went to school just to be with people and possibly learn, but it was more about being social. So
Yeah, um, like I said, I mean, history for me, entrepreneurship, because I don't know, at least with autism, just besides movies, there's other things I'm interested in as well. I like history and just world history in general,
Mhm.
uh, and so history was always interesting. But as like I like learning about more of the dumb stuff in history that they don't teach you.
Yeah.
Like like Billy the Kid, his first crime was he stole butter from his neighbor because he didn't want to make butter.
Yeah.
And I mean, hey, I don't know if anybody has done that, but like making cream and turning it into butter, that's hard work. I think I can understand why Billy the Kid did that. I mean,
Mhm.
stealing is bad, but hey, as Eric says, that the quote from Jim Carrey, life gives you opportunities. You can either
Mhm.
take them or be too afraid to take them. So Billy
Yeah.
the Kid saw an opportunity. Led to a bunch of other stuff, but
Mhm.
um okay. And assuming Eric comes back, what was the most boring class you remember taking? Math, algebra.
Yeah, I would totally agree with math. I That didn't make any sense to me whatsoever. Like, I was like, why am I here? Like, that doesn't make sense to me. Why
Well,
make me?
well, I never. I mean, I'm okay with basic math, but like when it comes to like algebra, like where in life am I going to do this? Like, oh, if you want to be an architect, I can assure you I'm not going to be an architect. I mean, I'm going to be the type of guy that hires the architects and they do what they want,
Yeah.
I'll just give them basically what I want, and then it's up to them to build it. So, Eric, what's the most interesting class you remember taking in school?
High school or all throughout my life?
In general.
Hmm. Well, I'm having a lot of fun with film history right now. I also had fun taking historical geology. Uh,
Yeah.
excuse me, sorry. But yeah.
God bless you.
Uh, Now those were fun, but the course that forever changed my life had to have been academic success with Mrs. Brown. But yeah, that was the class that forever changed my life. So I think I'll go with that one.
Okay, and then this was a two-parter. So, what was the most, and then on the opposite end, what was the most boring class you remember taking?
I would say math because I hate math, and even when I took math this spring, man, the teacher and I had a personality clash. I dealt with my grandpa passing away, and just I suck at math, and
Yeah,
and that was
I
one of
mean,
the things that got me to reconsider. When my friend Vanessa told me I would be better at filmmaking than I would be at paleontology, that was one of the things that got me to realize, you know what, I think that she is right.
Well, I mean, I'm okay with like adding and subtracting and everything else, but like multiplication, I do need a calculator. Division, I need a calculator. Algebra, I mean, no, no. I can't add together the square root of 75. You know. All right. So when you look back on your life and you have lived at this point, what particular amazes you what amazes you the most? Um, you know, I guess what amazes me, because we're all. I mean, let's round up. We're all basically 30. You know, I guess what amazes me is though that how like there are some people that are around our age, but like they just either they don't know how to have they just kind of take life way too seriously, you know, and I don't know. I think you've got to have learned to, have fun. And I think that people our age, I've just noticed in general that they have forgotten how to have fun now. Like, I don't know if it's just autism or what, but like, I'll make some off-kilter jokes, and like they're meant to be jokes, but then people don't take them as jokes. I mean, like if I made I don't know, if I made a joke, they reacted like if I punched them or something, So that's just something that amazes me is that, or then because I have my mom's sense of humor. My mom has this brutally sarcastic sense of humor, and if I make a joke and a joke that she would have made, people laugh at it. But if I make it, uh-oh. So, what about you guys? What's something that amazes you at this point in your life that?
I guess a lot of things amaze me. I guess it amazes me that people can't be up front.
Yeah.
But Kayla, what are the things that amaze you
at this point in your life?
Just to just to be honest with people, be more honest with the ones or your friends.
Right.
Yeah, because if there's one thing that irks me, well, my big pet peeve is when people are not honest.
Right. I mean, yeah, I mean, that's one thing that does irk me too, because here's my thing. I mean, the truth will always set you free, and I know that's a Bible quote, but like that's not even meaning it in Bible content. I mean, even if you're not meaning it from the Bible standpoint, if you're honest, you will feel more free, because as they say with lies, they just get bigger and bigger and bigger. And if you're honest, it's over, Okay. And just interesting change of topic here, Chat Pack. If you could have 50 pounds of anything other than money, what would you want? Well, it says other than money. I know you can make it out of money, But does gold count as money? So it doesn't say specifically, it just says other than money, and gold itself, it can be used as money, but technically it's not money. So I'm gonna say I want 50 pounds of gold. What about you, Eric?
What about money? Sorry.
If you could have 50 pounds of anything other than money, what would you have? I said gold because technically gold, it can be used as money, but technically it's not money.
Well, for me, I would want more money. So if I got gold, I then could, exchange it for,
There,
and then become super rich. So
yeah. Kayla?
I would say 50,000 subscribers. Like 50, in the 50 range. Like yeah. If that makes sense.
Yeah, because you're at 27 right now?
It was 28, but yeah.
Okay. That's just how YouTube works. You win some, lose some.
Right.
One advice that I would give, just round up. Like, people sit there and say, oh, how many subscribers do you have? Just round up to the nearest number. Like, I'll say like, oh, I'm at 540-ish. You know how YouTube is, you win some, lose some. But not everybody could be like Eric and have almost 300,000, something like that.
yeah, man, if I had that many subscribers, I would be happy. But hey, I am almost at 2,000 subs.
Yep, there you go. If you could have any book instantly memorialized into a cover, which book would you choose? Basically, if you could be on a cover of any book, what cover would it be? What book would it be?
I guess either Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, Bram Stoker's Dracula, or maybe Michael Crichton's Jurassic Park, or maybe even the Shiloh books. Since, beagles are my thing. Especially
Treasure Island, as long as I could be Long John Silver's. Kayla?
I'm not much into books, so I'm not really sure what I would do.
Okay. What is the greatest lesson in life that you have ever learned?
Oh man, I've learned so many damn good lessons. I learned the lesson from Mrs. Brown. Don't try to be somebody who you're not just so people can accept you. And popularity is a waste of time. Learn a lesson about life opening up opportunities for you. Either take them or be afraid of taking them. I learned the lesson that you can fail at what you don't want. Working at that same job you don't care about, so you might as well should take a chance of doing what you love. I learned about the Bible lesson that if you have feelings for somebody, you need to just tell them, because if you don't, you can miss out on that chance of being with somebody. Learn the lesson that, I'm not going to be alive forever, so all the things I want to do with my life, I need to do them now. I learned, that I am in control of my life. And if other people are going to be getting in the way of my success, then that's a sign I need to cut them out of my life. And yeah, basically, chase after, not allowing people to use your disability as an excuse for why you can't go be successful, because that's BS.
Right.
And that's something that me and Kayla relate to a lot, is that, we both have had people tell us that our whole entire lives, and I am sick of it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I guess. I don't know how much I could really top that one. Because I actually agree with everyone that every point that you made, because I guess I guess to quote Star Wars, try not, do.
Yeah, the line goes, "Do or do not. There is no try."
Yeah, something. Yeah, I mean, yeah, something like that. But yeah, no, I mean, just like, look at me, like I have gotten, I've tried, I've applied places to work, and I have either not gotten an application, even an interview. Then the places I do get, multitude of other reasons why the job doesn't last. So it's like, for me, it's like, well, I've always wanted to start, be somewhat in the film industry. But then when I realized that my heroes in the industry were more the Walt Disneys, the George Lucas, the Louis B. Mayers, guys who owned the studio, that's where, like, I'm like, man, well, why not just do it? And so, and, I mean, I've made phone calls with people to, try to at least get an actual studio out there. Like, I've made phone calls to people like who want to start maybe see if we could start a Junebug Films cable network, or even a streaming service. There's
Yeah, heck, you are already selling shirts and other stuff for Junebug Films.
Yeah, and I've gotten it to where people who have I've gotten other people to that channel, Pop Tees, Vandelian. I don't know if the other person wants to say that they have it now, but
so I actually am selling merchandise for all my movies, including the upcoming ones. So
yeah, at Pop Tees. I mean, even Kayla here is welcome to use them as well if she wants to. So,
like if Kayla wants to make merchandise for her podcast, she certainly can.
Yep, she has his information.
But I'm getting tired, and I want to get in bed soon. So can we wrap this up here soon?
All right. Yeah, I was gonna probably just do one more question here.
Okay.
Okay, if you had a time machine and traveled back to the year 1850, what would you take as the one product that is basically asked? Okay, it's a long-winded question. It's asking, okay, if you got into a time machine, what product would you take to show the people of 1850?
That's a good question.
A flashlight.
I guess a gun from that point, because there is a big market for guns, especially older guns.
Well, I think I'm more thinking of something that they could use. So, like a flashlight, because think about it that way. Maybe if there was a flashlight invented back then, maybe some whales would not go extinct.
Yeah.
So, Kayla, what's your answer?
Oh, let's see. Well, they did a lot of stuff like for themselves. Like they didn't have a lot of obviously technology. So I don't know. We could show them a washer and dryer, instead of beating against the rock. So.
Yeah, I remember nearly 10 years ago, I got into an argument with somebody who was trying to tell me that people had better technology back then than what we have now. Oh my god. And
Yeah.
yeah, I couldn't believe what I heard.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so yeah, Eric did mention. Yeah, we'll wrap this up here, but like, I what would I mean? Tyranno liked this game, but Eric, what was your guys's and Kayla? What was your guys' opinion about this game here? Do you I mean was it fun or anything?
I didn't think it was fun. What were your thoughts, Kayla?
Yeah, no, I think it was good to, you get to know each other a little bit more and what you're thinking.
Right.
And Kayla, as somebody who does an entire channel with autism, I actually think that, because one of the things with autism, like, I'm okay, like, mainly jumping into a conversation, but I think that this game would be great for, like, icebreaker sort of topics, like, to kind of break the ice for anything, I mean, if this is called the chat pack, this could be something that maybe, I don't know, you could have a guest on your channel and do.
Right, yeah.
Because, I mean, but anyway, this has been another episode of Sit Down by the Fire. I actually need to discuss one thing with Eric before he does go to bed. But, Eric, why don't you tell the next big interview we have?
The next big interview we have is Lynn Lugosi Sparks. It has been in the works since the Sarah Karloff interview. Lynn's just a very busy person, but hey, I'm glad that we are finally getting to it.
Yes, and for those who don't know, Lynn Lugosi Sparks is the granddaughter of Bela Lugosi.
Yep.
So that's October 12th, and that will premiere the following Friday. So yeah,
yeah, and it's funny because I have my signed Dracula poster right there, signed by Bela Lugosi Jr. and by Lynn.
So yeah, just stay tuned for that. Anything else you want to plug, Eric?
The third Pissed Off movie. It's my most ambitious movie yet, and future episodes of Let's Watch a Movie. And that's really it.
Yep, and go to Pop Tees for Junebug Films merch, Eric Vierthaler merch, and Taking with Caffeine merch, Vandelli 98. Sub to the Junebug Films Capo Regimes. Eric here, Kayla's one of them. 406 Boys, Vandelian, Mecha G0, Zach D Productions, and Tony Montillo Garcia. So link to all that down below. Eric's link for his merch will also be down below, along with mine. So just stay tuned, and we definitely have more interviews in the works. We're just talking to people and trying to schedule stuff. So see you guys later.
All right. See you later.
Bye.
Later.